like this break of humanity that just happens, and it would surprise Effie and I. Like, we would stop at it. It was interesting because we didn't know each other before we read this, and we would stop and at the same points and kind of breathe at the same points. And while it is a surrealist play, it was so full of natural human instinct that it threw both of us off, I feel like, at a lot of the same points.
When I read it, I came in later than everyone else, and I've been studying different types of avant-garde theater and lots of stuff coming out of Russia, and I definitely right off the bat went, either this is terrible or brilliant theater that I just don't understand. And that was really fun for me. So I came to realize that it was just brilliant theater that I didn't understand at first, and I enjoyed the process of understanding it as much as I possibly could as we went along.
For me, it's the transformational principle of the legal presence that works here. And I was so happy that all three of them got this spirit, and with the suggestions, the civic suggestions brought life to that spirit. And I know that it might be shocking at some points, especially the dog scene, the most controversial scene, of course. But if you interpret it in different ways, you get out of it different things. So my question, I'm puzzled myself about this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And last week again, I dared to ask Nanos Malauridis through a messenger message, what did you want to give us through this scene? And he said, well, this desperate need for meaning in life, desperate need for identity, because this is an eternal hide and seek of identity, and an endless cycle, a vicious cycle of various transformations of the human being. He wanted to make them like archetypal types, this young, and I think you brought life to that scene. I don't know, what did you think about this? And were you disturbed?
Play or the dog scene?
I mean, if you think that, if you come here as with the concept that this is a surrealist play where everything is allowed, where everything can be understood as a continuum, there's no break between reality and surreality. Then everything is seamless. But I want to hear the other view also. Ilana.
I thought you guys did an amazing job. Thank you. I was curious, as you know, being in the audience, there were specific lines or sections that had, it seemed, comedy to them or humor in like an absurdist sense. For instance, the line about my father is something, my mother is a slipper, that's repeated.
Mm-hmm.
But how was it for you as actors? Because in the context of this scene, the character doesn't always find these things funny. So was there like a disconnect, or was it difficult knowing that the audience would find something funny but staying in character, or that type of thing? Or just in your own interpretations of the play? Is humor subjective, or is it part of the surrealism that's...
I don't know, because the thing is, this is the first time we're doing it in front of people who have not like seen us do it before. For me, with regards to if there's anything funny or if there's a joke or anything, I don't really try to pay attention to that in the sense that I don't do like, I go wink wink, you're supposed to laugh here. But I think it's about staying grounded in what's going on. If a reaction is provoked, I mean, that's good. That's great. I'm glad that there were like some comedic beats that I don't think I even noticed at some points, which was really fun. But I'm glad that the play sort of elicited those reactions. I mean, it sort of lightened things up with all the heaviness that was going to come.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that sort of trickled in when we found who Eve and Martha were for both of us. We didn't go into the script like saying we're both going to play these characters the same way. We didn't say, okay, when we switch, we're both going to be using this as our action, or this is our motivating factor. They're both interpretations of who we believed them to be in that moment. And it goes with the identity factor into the story that they're never the same throughout the script, and they think that they are. It's interesting. But that comedy definitely isn't something that once you grasp the reality of who the character is to you is something that is really noticed at that point, because you believe what you say and you mean what you say. Like, she means that when she tells me that my father's a hot plate.
There's a slipper,
She believes that.
And some of the beauty of the play is that it's ever changing. The landscape of the play, no matter how many times you read it, will come out a different way. And it's not like a farce where you can go, this is a laugh line, let's note that. I mean, there's one right in the beginning where there's kind of a depraved bit of humor in, you'll be fine and then the house will fall down and you'll die in peace. And that kind of vibe is definitely something only allowed in certain areas of theater. But in order to let it evolve, as is the nature of the play, I think acknowledging the humor too early can hurt it.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely was a different version for me too.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
Yeah, every time we do it, it's a different version.
Yeah.
It is very true to the principle of the writing of this play.
Hi.
Clever.
So I have a question about the play. An excellent work. It was really seductive, even though it's a surreal work of art. You find yourself getting sucked into something which is beyond reality, and in that way, really real. But I had a question about the translation. So this is a Greek playwright, but writing in France and in French.
Yes.
And so has this play been, which is really interesting in its own right, but has this play been translated into Greek?
Not yet, but it's
Not yet?
going to be translated soon. Yes, I will try to translate. Maybe we can try it also in the frame of the advanced training as translation works
Oh, wow.
here. But it was interesting how this came. It's because we wanted to include it in the publication, so I tried first the English translation. And it's a long story because I'm dealing with this for 10 years now, and it was time to get it. And then thanks to Dean, we came with this idea, what would it be, would it be funny and fun to have it also staged before we publish it? And I think this was brilliant because for me to gain a deeper, another level of depth into the play. And I'm really happy to see that. And I have to say that even the translation started and then took many versions, and again I benefited from the comments of the participants in the seminar.
I want to echo this excellent interpretation and acting. It's very, you guys really seem to get into character and make it convincing. As far as the suggestions of the S&M and all that, I didn't actually find it terribly shocking.
Mm.
I think in Nanos' time when he wrote it,
Yes.
it was shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Not among the surrealists that he was working from or that he was involved with, but certainly this would never have happened then.
Yeah, actually, you're
But-
absolutely right. Yes.
But I found that it was sort of the shifts you were talking about, real being real, and you weren't quite sure, and again, I thought your voices and the way that you were able to stay in character through the transitions made it work.
Going back to your comment, indeed in 1959 in Paris, where also the Theatre of the Absurd was thriving, still it was not received well because mostly of the dog scene, and in all there was a good coverage because in the press for 2 or 3 weeks consecutively there would be an article in the French press because Marpesa Dawn, the actress of Orfeo Negro, was the actress who was playing Martha. And then she left for the Cannes Award for that film. And anyway, they were talking about un ballet verbal, a verbal ballet without any sense for them, the critics. And Nanus was devastated, of course, and he never continued writing infant plays, and he wrote other genres.
There's also like a level for the actor when it gets to that point that makes sense.
Yeah.
Something like brings you to the floor at that point for her, because just before that they have such a heated moment with each other, and while Eve is not exactly the most a well-rounded individual when it comes to communication, at that point you need to have mercy for the character, and that is like, I think, one of the only moments where you sort of see the humanity through this portrayal of him being inhuman, which I think is really brilliant, actually, because they disrespect each other's presence so much, and then all of a sudden she needs him, and he needs her, or she needs her, and we didn't really gender the characters either, which really helped us work. We didn't play with any kind of masculine or feminine-like connotations to what we were doing. Didn't make sense.
Maybe the most that I did was sort of change my vocal